Imagine walking into a sophisticated restaurant where everything seems perfect. However, something unexpected happens when a group of rich women decide to belittle a simple black waitress, without imagining the consequences of their actions. What would you do if you were in her position? The waitress's attitude surprised everyone and showed that appearances can be deceiving. This story goes beyond prejudice, it's about courage and overcoming, culminating in a stunning turnaround. You know that chill down your spine you feel when something important is about to happen? Prepare yourself, because what you are about to discover will be surprising. The restaurant's atmosphere was bright, with intense lights reflecting off elegantly arranged tables, adorned with white tablecloths and shiny cutlery. Laughter and lively conversations filled the space, but the waitress knew she didn't belong there. As I walked between the tables, balancing trays full of exquisite dishes, I felt the customers' eyes on me, as if I were just a worthless decorative object. But I couldn't let myself get discouraged. Smiling was my shield, and I used it skillfully. "Look at this waitress, she looks like she can't even keep her plate upright," commented one of the women at a nearby table, laughing outrageously. The group, all dressed in designer clothes and adorned with sparkling jewelry, joined in laughter, as if I were the butt of the joke. Heat rose to my face, but I kept my smile, a mask that hid the anger and humiliation that pulsed inside me. "You should see her house. I bet it's as messy as her hands," another woman shot back, as she handed me an empty glass with a dismissive look. I took a deep breath, trying to ignore the words that cut like knives. These weren't just despicable comments, they were a constant reminder that to them I was inferior, just a waitress with nothing to offer other than service. "Of course, ma'am, I'll bring you more water right away," I replied, keeping my voice steady even though my heart was in turmoil. Those rich women knew nothing about me, my life or the battles I faced daily. They only saw the color of my skin and the uniform I wore. To them, I was not a woman of value, but a shadow that passed quickly through their lives. After a long shift, I was finally able to allow myself a moment of relief as I left the restaurant. The city lights seemed softer, as if the night wanted to embrace me. Stella, my childhood friend, was waiting for me outside, leaning on her bike, with a warm smile on her face. Stella has always been a ray of sunshine in my life, and seeing her, a part of me relaxed. "Hey Lou. How was today?" she asked as she approached me. His voice was a familiar melody that made me feel a little lighter. "Ah, you know how it is, another day, a few more outbursts, but I survived," I replied, trying to hide the frustration that still burned in my chest. Stella always understood how I felt, but I didn't want her to bear the weight of my anguish. "You need to stop letting them affect you. You are better than that," said Stella, with the determination of someone who truly believes in their own words. I admired her confidence, but I knew that was easier said than done. "I know, but it's hard, Stella. Sometimes I feel so trapped, like my circumstances are chains that keep me in this place," I sighed, letting the frustration slip through my words. "I just want something more, something that makes me feel alive. Luana, listen. You have an incredible talent. Remember your paintings? You have always had this gift. Why don't you try to dedicate yourself more to this?" Stella suggested, her voice full of enthusiasm. The sparkle in his eyes was infectious, but also a reminder of my own hesitation. "You know I don't have time for this. Work consumes most of my day, and when I get home, I'm exhausted," I protested. However, a part of me wanted to believe that there could be a way out, a way to escape this suffocating routine. "Then start slowly. Dedicate a few minutes a day, even if it's just to scribble something." "You need to do this," Stella insisted. "Do something that makes you happy," Stella insisted. Although his encouragement was sweet, doubt still crept into my heart. What did I really want? What if I failed again? That night, When I returned home, I fell into a deep silence. The house was dark and empty, reflecting the loneliness that often accompanied me. The smell of ink and paper enveloped me as I entered my small room, where I kept an antique box that had belonged to my mother. It was a reliquary of memories that I had avoided exploring. The same joy that I ardently wanted to find within myself. "You were so strong, Mom. Why didn't I inherit this strength?" I murmured to the photo, feeling the weight of her absence. The talent she possessed felt like a burden I didn't know how to carry. While looking through the newspaper clippings, an article caught my attention. She was talking about an exhibition my mother had participated in and how her works were an inspiration to many. I always knew she was talented, but seeing those words of admiration printed on paper made me feel a mixture of pride and sadness. What had I done with my own life? Tears streamed down my face as I remembered her stories, the nights she told me about her dreams and her struggles. "I don't want you to feel afraid of the world, Luciana. You are capable of incredible things," she used to say. Her voice echoed in my mind, like a mantra of encouragement that I so needed. With the box open in front of me, I realized there was a part of me that had always been there, waiting to be discovered. The images of my mother, the memories of her struggles and achievements, were calling to me. I wanted her to be there, guiding me and telling me that I could do it too, but now it was my responsibility to honor her legacy. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, feeling a new determination rise within me. The city outside continued to pulse with life, and I could no longer allow myself to be a mere spectator. From that moment on, I knew I needed to find my voice, my art, and maybe, just maybe, I could free myself from the chains that held me back. I woke up that morning with a feeling of restlessness. The sun came through my bedroom window, illuminating the space and bringing new energy. My small apartment was lit up by sunlight, revealing a pile of painting supplies that I had set aside, almost as if they were calling to me. It was time for a change, I knew that. After so many days of hearing dismissive comments and facing contemptuous looks in the restaurant, I felt like I needed to find a way for everything that was inside me. Art, which had once been my passion, now seemed like a distant memory, suffocated by the weight of everyday life. As I prepared my coffee, my gaze stopped at the box containing my mother's memories. The photos of her, full of life and energy, were a constant reminder of what I could be. Her strength pulsed in each painting, in each smile captured in a portrait. With a deep sigh, I decided it was time to rediscover that part of myself. After coffee, I went to the small corner where I had set up my improvised studio. My desk was covered with brushes, paints, and blank canvases that seemed to be anxiously waiting for me. "Come on, Luciana," I muttered to myself as I picked up a brush and dipped it into the blue paint. The first stroke was tentative, but as soon as the color spread across the canvas, a wave of relief washed over me. It was as if I was releasing all the accumulated frustrations. I painted for hours, immersing myself in a world where there were no judgments, just the freedom to be who I really was. With each new coat of paint, I felt the pressure from the restaurant and the rich women dissipating. I was creating something that was uniquely mine. As I looked at the screen, I realized that I had begun to capture the essence of my childhood, the memories of my mother and the strength that always accompanied her. At this moment, Stella appeared at the door. "Wow, Luciana. You're really dedicating yourself to painting, huh?" She entered, her eyes shining with wonder. "Can I join you? I feel like I need some of that creative energy." "Of course, come here." I smile, happy to have her company. Stella was always a source of support, someone who understood the struggles I faced. "I'm trying to rediscover my passion for art." She approached the screen and was silent for a moment. "This is beautiful, Luciana. You should enter that local art competition. It's a great opportunity to showcase your talent."
The idea made me nervous. Competition? I don't know, Stella. What if I'm not good enough? The people there are so different. Insecurity tightened my chest. I didn't want to be exposed to ridicule. Hey, don't think like that. You have a gift. If you don't try, you'll never know. Think about your mother, she always believed in you. Stella encouraged me, touching my arm tenderly. You need to do this for yourself. Who knows, this could be the first step towards the change you so desire. These words echoed in my mind. I remembered my mother and her aspirations. She always wanted me to follow in her footsteps and find my own voice through art. You're right, Stella. I'll think about it, I replied. After Stella said goodbye, I looked at the computer screen again. The sunlight was beginning to set and the room was immersed in a golden hue. A determination began to grow inside me, like a flame that didn't want to go out. If I really wanted to change my life, I needed to take action. The next day, while waiting tables at the restaurant, I noticed the heavy atmosphere around me. Most of the clients, rich women, continued to treat me as if I were invisible. I did my job, but the cutting words still resonated in my mind. The arrogant Penelope, one of the most frequent and cruel customers, was at one of the tables. When our eyes met, a sarcastic smile formed on his face. Look who's here, the table artist. I hope you brought your talent to the job, she said, laughing to her friends. The other women joined her in laughing, as if I were a joke. I felt a wave of suppressed anger rising, but I took a deep breath and replied, "Good afternoon, ladies. What can I bring you?" I did my best to maintain my composure, even as my heart was racing. Penelope continued, with a gleam of mischief in her eyes, "You know, Luciana, have you ever thought about putting your dream of being an artist aside? A miserable life seems more suitable for you." His words cut like a knife, and it was hard not to let the humiliation get to me. As I walked away, anger boiled inside me. I'm not going to let this get me down, I thought. One day you will see. That night, when I got home, I looked at the memory box again. It was full of clippings, photos, and letters that connected me to my mother and her artistic journey. What I saw was not just a story of struggle, but a celebration of strength and resilience. I needed to remember that, who I was and what I was capable of. I picked up my brush and returned to the canvas. Each stroke was now filled with the anger that Penelope had awakened in me, transforming into motivation. I was determined to stand out, not just for myself, but for all those who were underestimated and undervalued. Art would be my cry for freedom. As the paint dried, I looked out the window at the city lights. They glowed like a reminder that I could shine too. I knew the competition was coming and that, if I wanted to participate, I would need to prepare. Most importantly, I needed to believe in myself. The journey was just beginning, and I was ready to face it with all my strength. The morning light streamed in through the window of my small apartment, dancing on the white walls, as if calling me to a new beginning. I was determined not to let the humiliations of the restaurant overwhelm me. With a nervous smile, I picked up the brushes and paints I had bought at the corner store. The smell of the paints filled me with courage. It was time to delve into my own story, my own art. Soft music from an artist I admired played in the background as I began to work. The blank canvas in front of me felt intimidating, but I knew I had something to express. With each brushstroke, I felt determination grow within me. I knew I had the opportunity to relive the essence of my childhood. The strength that my mother transmitted to me was present in every stroke I made. With each brushstroke, memories of her surfaced, and I remembered how she taught me to see the world in an artistic way, finding beauty in even the simplest things. "Luciana, are you here?" Stella's voice resounded through the half-open door. I smiled, knowing that she was always a source of support and encouragement. I am. Come see what I'm doing. I called, holding the brush a little more firmly. She came in and looked at the canvas, where I was drawing the silhouette of a girl and her mother, surrounded by flowers that symbolized dreams that seemed distant. Wow, Luciana. That's incredible. Stella exclaimed, her eyes shining with admiration. You really have a wonderful talent. Thank you, Stella. This is just the beginning. The essence of my mother and the strength she had were always present in my art. Art was everything to her, I said, feeling a lump in my throat as I recalled her memories. You'll crush the competition, I'm sure. Who knows, after that, you might be able to make this your life. Stella smiled, but I saw the concern in her eyes. She knew that I often doubted myself. What if I don't succeed? What if I fail again? What will the women at the restaurant say? Insecurity escaped my mouth like a whisper. Luciana, you can't let them define who you are. You are much more than that. You are an artist, and your art deserves to be seen, Stella insisted, approaching the screen and gently touching the features that I had done. I just want people to see, I want them to feel what I feel when I look at art. I want them to see my mother through my eyes, I confessed, feeling tears threatening to slide down my face. And they will see, Luciana. Art is a form of expression. It's how you reveal what's inside you, and people will feel it, Stella replied, with an encouraging look. Now, let's go out for a bit. How about we take a walk and see the exhibition that's taking place in the city? I hesitated, but the idea of going out and seeing other works excited me. Yes, it could be a great opportunity to inspire me. Besides, who knows, maybe I'll find some artists who can guide me. Stella was determined, and I couldn't refuse. Soon we were walking through the city's vibrant streets, surrounded by the sounds and colors of shop windows, absorbing the creative energy that surrounded us. The atmosphere was full of life, and I couldn't help but feel a little lighter. When we arrived at the gallery, the atmosphere was elegant, and the smell of fresh paint and polished wood immediately enveloped me. Look, Luciana. Stella pointed to an installation that caught everyone's attention. It was a work by a renowned artist who I had admired since childhood. Each piece told a unique story, reflecting his unmistakable style. As I watched, a tall, gray-haired man approached us. Beautiful pieces, aren't they? He smiled, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. Yes, they're amazing, I said, trying to hide my shyness. The way he captures the essence of emotions is impressive.
Before we continue, I need to tell you something amazing. Do you want to attract a lot of money into your life? Learn how to do it with the secret content that I will leave in the first pinned comment, and start transforming your financial life. Let's continue.
Are you an artist too? He asked, stellarly interested. I'm trying. I'm preparing for an art competition, I replied, feeling a little embarrassed. Ah, art is a calling, isn't it? He commented, with an encouraging smile. Yes, it's the way we express who we are, I replied. He smiled and continued, I'm an artist too, and it's never too late to dedicate yourself to that. It's essential. What's your style? The way he encouraged me made me excited. I'm trying to capture the strength of Black women, the struggle and the beauty that is often hidden. My mother was an artist, and I feel like this is what I need to do to honor her, I confessed, my heart beating faster. That's beautiful. You have a purpose, and that's the essence of art. If you need a mentor, I'd love to help. You have a lot of passion, and that's what matters, he said, pulling his cell phone out of his pocket. I couldn't believe a renowned artist was offering me help. My mind was racing a mile a minute. Of course. It would be an honor, I replied, feeling more confident with each word. After exchanging contacts, Stella and I left the gallery. I couldn't stop smiling. That meeting left me inspired. I can't believe you met him. That's amazing, Luciana. You really have a bright future ahead of you. Thank you, Stella. I just hope I can do it. This is all I ever wanted, but the fear is too much, I confessed, feeling the anxiety weighing me down again. You can do it. Don't let it get you down. Remember, you are more than what people think. You are an artist, and now it's time to dedicate yourself to your art, Stella encouraged me. We returned home, and as soon as I entered my little studio, the screen was waiting for me. I picked up the paints with more passion than ever before. The connection I made with the artist had lit a fire inside me. I was determined to make my art shine. With each stroke, I felt stronger. It was more than a competition, it was a declaration of who I was and who I wanted to become. That night, while the paint was drying, I looked out the window and saw the city lit up. It was a world full of possibilities, and I was ready to take them. However, in the back of my mind, a shadow of worry began to form. Penelope, the arrogant woman who humiliated me at work, was always around. I knew she wouldn't let this new phase of my life go unnoticed. But I wasn't going to let that get me down. With Stella's help and the new inspiration I had found, I was prepared to face any challenge that came my way. Tomorrow, I would start working even more on my painting. A past of humiliation would not stop me from seeking a future that I deserved. The day of the art competition had finally arrived. I felt butterflies in my stomach as I looked at myself in the restaurant bathroom mirror, wearing a simple but elegant dress that emphasized my curves. I felt a mixture of excitement and fear. The restaurant hall was filled with rich and influential women, but today I wasn't just miserable, I was an artist. The painting that accompanied me, a vibrant representation of the strength of black women throughout history, was on display in the gallery. Somehow, I knew this was the opportunity one had been waiting for. Luciana, are you ready? Stella appeared in the doorway, her expression reflecting the same nervousness I felt. She wore a red dress that made her shine among the other women, and her eyes shone with a mixture of anxiety and pride. I am, but what if it doesn't work out? I said, trying to hide the insecurity in my voice. Don't think about it. You've worked hard, and your art speaks for itself. Today is your day, Stella encouraged me, taking my hand and squeezing it tightly. Her touch was like a balm to my soul. I took a deep breath and nodded. You're right. I need to do this. The room was elegantly decorated, with well-arranged tables and fresh flowers. The women were talking animatedly, but when they saw me, a murmur ran through the room. Some, like Penelope, the woman who always looked down on me, gave me dismissive looks. But I didn't let it affect me. Today, I was more than miserable, I was an artist. When it was my turn to present my work, I walked to the center of the room, my heart pounding in my chest. The painting, an explosion of colors and shapes, portrayed the struggle and resilience of black women. They were displayed on a large screen behind me. Silence took over the space as I began to speak. This work is a tribute to all the women who came before us. Women who fought, who resisted, who rose against adversity. Each color here represents not only the pain, but also the strength and beauty we carry. My voice was shaking, but I continued. I'm Luciana and I'm the daughter of an artist. My mother taught me that art is a form of resistance, and that's what I want to show with this painting. The audience was silent, absorbing my words. I could feel the energy in the room shift, as if my courage had penetrated their hearts. But suddenly, a voice cut through the room. Do you think just because you're the daughter of an artist that means you have talent? It was Penelope. The murmur of disapproval grew, but I wasn't going to let that get me down. I took a deep breath and kept my gaze steady. Penelope stood up, arrogance dripping from her words. "Penelope, please," I tried to intervene, but she continued. "Look around you. Do you really think this is art? This is just a desperate cry for attention." The murmur grew louder, and I felt the pressure build in my chest. Before I could respond, the renowned artist monitoring me stood up. "With all due respect, Penelope, you are not seeing what we all see. Luciana is not here just because she is the daughter of an artist, she is here because she is talented and brave. Her art speaks for itself." The faces of the women present changed. Some nodded, others looked disconcerted. Penelope was silent, the anger in her eyes was palpable, but she seemed speechless at my mentor's defense. "If you can't see the beauty and strength in this work," he continued, "that says more about you than it does about Luciana." The room was tense, but I felt a wave of support around me. He looked at me, his eyes full of support, and the tension in the air was palpable. I looked at Penelope and, instead of responding with anger, I felt a surge of compassion. "Penelope, I understand that you don't like my art, but that doesn't make me any less of an artist. Everyone has their own vision, and they are all valid. I just hope that one day you can see the beauty in what is different." She rolled her eyes, but her words no longer had any power. The audience started applauding, and I felt heat rising through my body. It was as if everyone in the room was hugging me, recognizing that my fight was also my victory. After a few introductions, the culminating moment approached. My heart was pounding as I waited for the winner to be announced. The presenter approached the microphone, and silence once again took over the room. "And the prize goes to Luciana." An involuntary scream escaped my lips. It was me. The applause echoed in the hall, and I was overcome by a wave of emotion. As I walked to the stage, I saw Stella smiling, with tears in her eyes, and it made me feel like I was floating. As soon as I received the award and thanked the audience, a feeling of apprehension began to set in. I wasn't sure why, but something told me the happiness wouldn't last. As soon as I left the stage, my cell phone vibrated in my pocket. It was an anonymous message: "Congratulations, Luciana, but be prepared, because your past could come to light at any moment." Those words were like a bucket of cold water thrown over me. The smile I carried faded, and a chill ran down my spine. What did that mean? What did I have to fear? Anxiety started to take over, and I knew I had to be ready to face whatever was coming. I had hidden my past, but would it come back to haunt me? Stella approached, realizing something was wrong. "What happened, Luciana?" I received an anonymous message, my voice trailed off. "But what?" Stella insisted, worried. She said my past might come out. I looked at the ground, feeling a wave of despair. "Luciana, you're an artist now. You have to believe in yourself. Whatever happened doesn't define who you are today." Her words echoed in my mind, but the uncertainty about what might be revealed consumed me. I wanted to celebrate my victory, but the shadow of my past threatened to overshadow everything I had achieved. "Come on. You need some time to breathe. Let's have a drink and celebrate your victory." Stella pulled me, and I let her lead me away from the commotion. As we walked, I couldn't help but think about the message. My heart was pounding, and even with the victory, a feeling of restlessness settled in my mind. What would be coming? I felt trapped in a whirlwind of emotions. Winning the art competition was supposed to be a moment of celebration, but the anonymous message I received as soon as I left the stage weighed on me like an anchor. What to do now? I needed comfort, from someone who understood what I was going through. That's how I headed towards the cafe where Stella used to wait for me after my shifts. The aroma of fresh coffee and the soft sound of ambient music tried to calm me, but my mind was in chaos. Stella was there, as always, with her encouraging smile. She greeted me with a tight hug, and I immediately felt a little lighter. "Are you well?" he asked, noticing the tension on my face. I knew I needed to share what I was feeling, but the words were still stuck in my throat. "Well, Luciana?" she asked, noticing the shadow in my gaze. "I don't know. I won, Stella, but..." I hesitated, trying to find the words. I received a threatening message. "Someone knows about my past, about my mother. I'm scared of what it could mean." Stella frowned and pulled out a chair for me. "Let's talk about it. You are an incredible artist, Luciana. No one can take that away from you, no matter what they say about your mother. But what if people think my talent comes from her? What if they think I don't deserve this victory? What if I really don't deserve it?" Anxiety was building up in my chest like a storm about to break. "Listen," Stella said firmly. "You are not your mother. You are Luciana. Your art speaks for itself. Don't be put off by mean comments. You need to face it head on. If someone makes comments, you respond with confidence. This is yours, and you have earned it. Your talent with your strength." Stella's words were like a bomb, but my insecurity still consumed me. What if Penelope was responsible for this? What would she do now that she knows about my past? She will use this against me. Be strong, Luciana. Don't let fear dictate your actions. You have to show everyone the real Luciana. I took a deep breath and, for the first time, I felt a flash of courage. You're right. I need to move on. I can't let this stop me from creating. Stella smiled, her infectious energy enveloping me. That's right. Let's go together. What are you going to do now? She asked. I need to start working on something new, something that is completely mine. I want people to see my talent not just as the daughter of the famous artist, but as Luciana, the artist in her own right. The conversation with Stella inspired me, and I knew I was ready to take this next step. I left the cafe with a new focus. On the way back home, I looked at the city's bright streets, watching the people and life pulsing around me. I couldn't allow the past to define me. Now, more than ever, I needed to assert myself. The next day, I received a notification on my cell phone, a call from an unknown number. I hesitated, but answered. She was a reporter for a local newspaper. Hi Luciana. This is Paula. I'm doing a story about the art competition and I'd like to talk to you. Could you give me some time? Of course. What would you like to know? I asked, trying to remain calm. I wanted to know about your inspiration for the painting. You mention your mother in your work, correct? What does that mean to you? I swallowed hard. My mother has been a key inspiration in my life, but I'm also searching for my own voice. I'm trying to figure out who I am as an artist. I understand, but don't you believe that your victory could be linked to your lineage? After all, your mother is a reference in the art world. Her words hit me like a punch in the gut. I don't think it should be like this. I won because I worked hard and put my soul into painting. I don't want people to see me as just someone's daughter. The reporter seemed interested, but there was no way to avoid the topic of my mother coming up. Do you believe this could impact your career? No. I am more than my lineage. I am Luciana and I am here to make my name in art. The conversation continued, but with each question, the doubt about my value as an artist grew. The call ended, and I felt exhausted. The next day, while I was working at the restaurant, uncertainties still lingered in my mind. The news began to circulate. Penelope, in an act of revenge, made a post on social media insinuating that I only won the competition because of my mother. She mentioned my last name and the legacy it brought, and it echoed like a distant sound that made me shiver. "Look, it's the famous artist's daughter. She doesn't deserve to win, she's only here because of her mother," a rich woman shouted loudly, laughing, and other women followed her. The weight of those words weighed even more now. What was happening? I felt exposed, as if everyone's eyes were evaluating me, exposing me. "Luciana, are you okay?" a coworker asked, worried. "I don't know. Things are complicated. It's all so unfair. Don't let this get you down. You're talented, and everyone recognizes it. Keep your head up." She smiled, but I felt like her confidence was being challenged just like mine. That night, as I walked home, insecurity took over me. What did I really deserve? My mind was in a whirl, questioning myself. I knew my art was an extension of who I am, but had I really won the prize or just inherited a name? After a long day, I came home and found the box with my mother's newspaper clippings. I felt an impulse to open and look at the yellowed pages, which seemed to whisper stories of achievements and the legacy she left. It was a story about a strong woman who challenged the limits of society and conquered her space. "I'm more than that," I muttered to myself, looking at the photos. "I'm Luciana. I'm an artist." That night, in the midst of anxiety, I painted. Vibrant colors danced across the canvas, and each brushstroke was a revelation of who I really was. I wasn't the daughter of a famous artist, I was Luciana, and I was proving it to myself. Opinions might be divided, but the only one that really mattered was mine, and I needed to believe in my own talent, regardless of what others said. Daylight filtered through the windows of my small studio, illuminating the canvas before me. The smell of fresh paint and the soft sound of the brush gliding over the surface became a mantra, a refuge amidst the whirlwind of feelings that still accompanied me after the competition. Victory should have been a moment of joy, but the shadow of Penelope's revelation hung over me like dark clouds before a storm. Today, I wasn't just painting, I was creating a new story. The theme of my new work was the strength of women who, like my mother, faced challenges. Every color and every shape was a celebration of resilience, an affirmation that I, too, had my place in the art world. I wanted each brushstroke to convey a message of overcoming and courage, reflecting a past that, although it doesn't define me, drives me. As I mixed the colors, I felt a wave of determination rising within me. This exhibition was my opportunity to show the world that my talent was genuine, that I was not just the daughter of a famous artist, but an artist in my own right. As I painted, I remembered Stella and how she always believed in me, even in times when I doubted myself. She was the reason I was willing to expose myself again, to face society's judgment. Then the phone vibrated on the table, interrupting my thoughts. It was a message from Stella. "Hey, friend. I'm on my way to the studio. I want to see how the painting is going." An involuntary smile appeared on my face. Stella always knew how to encourage me. I was excited and responded quickly, saying that I was almost done and that I was waiting for her with a cold glass of juice. The heat of the day was intense, and I needed a break before continuing. When Stella arrived, she was as radiant as ever. Her curly hair blew in the wind, and she brought a contagious energy that lit up the room. "Wow, Luciana. You really outdid yourself this time," he exclaimed, his eyes shining when he saw my work. "Thank you, Stella. I feel like this time I'm really catching something," I replied, a little shyly. I looked at the screen, eager for his opinion. She approached the painting and commented, "It's incredible how you can convey so much emotion. This woman looks strong, like she's ready to face anything." "It's exactly what I wanted," I said, feeling the heat rise to my face. "I want people to see the strength that exists in us, in all of us. You're going to rock the exhibition, I'm sure. And if that Penelope shows up, I'll fix her," Stella said, with a more serious tone of voice. "I don't want any more fights, Stella. I just want to show my art and prove that I am more than she thinks," I replied, determined. The conversation soon moved on to other topics while we drank juice and remembered moments from our childhood. Stella's presence was a balm for the wounds that still hurt. However, when the day of the exhibition arrived, nervousness started to get the better of me again. The hall was packed, with elegantly dressed men and women milling around and admiring the works on display. I looked around, feeling a mixture of anxiety and excitement. My painting was in the spotlight, and I wanted everyone to be able to feel the energy I had put into it. Finally, the time has come to present my work. My heart raced as I walked up to the small makeshift stage, holding the microphone with shaking hands. "Hello everyone, my name is Luciana and this is my work," I began, trying to keep my voice steady. I talked about my mother, her struggles and achievements, and how she inspired me to keep going, even when the world seemed to be against me. With each word, I felt like I was freed from a weight. Stella's supportive look in the audience gave me strength. The performance was well received and I was starting to relax when suddenly I saw Penelope approaching. My heart stopped for a moment. She was alone, but there was a sparkle in her eyes that I couldn't decipher. "Luciana, can I talk to you?" he asked, his voice shaking. "Of course, Penelope, what do you want?" I replied, trying to hide my surprise. She hesitated, looking around before continuing. "I just wanted to say that your painting is beautiful, really touching." The sincerity in his voice caught me off guard. "Thank you," I replied, still cautious. "It's important to me." Penelope took a deep breath, as if preparing herself for something significant. "You know, I'm also the daughter of an artist. My mother was a famous painter, but I never managed to follow in her footsteps. I was always afraid of not being good enough." I remained silent, absorbing his words. Her vulnerability was something unexpected. "Why haven't you tried?" "If it's something you love," I asked. "Because I let the fear of failure stop me. And when you won the competition, I was so furious. It wasn't just for you, but for myself." "I couldn't do what you did," Penelope admitted, tears in her eyes. I watched her, realizing that behind the teasing was a woman who was also struggling with her insecurities. "Penelope, you don't need to define yourself by what your mother did or didn't do. You can create your own story," he said, feeling a surge of empathy. She hesitated, but then her gaze fixed on mine. "Do you really think so? That I could be an artist too?" "Yes, I believe that. We all have the ability to create something beautiful. You just need to believe in yourself," I replied, feeling a rush of inspiration. At that moment, a mysterious figure appeared between us, interrupting the conversation. He was a tall man, with a penetrating gaze. "Luciana," he called, making my heart race. "Yes?" I replied, confused. "We need to talk. There's something you need to know about your mother," he said, his voice deep and serious. The mood changed instantly. Penelope and I exchanged incredulous looks, the tension in the air was palpable. What could this man reveal that would change everything? The future seemed uncertain, and the feeling that my life was about to take an unexpected turn left me speechless. "Please follow me," he insisted. I found myself faced with a choice I never imagined I would have to make that night. After so many internal struggles and emotional battles, Luciana finally understood that her value did not depend on the approval of others, not even her mother's legacy. The art competition became a symbol, not of victory over others, but of personal achievement. When Stella said goodbye, leaving Luciana alone with her thoughts, she approached the canvas that was now slowly drying, reflecting the glow of the city lights. There, Luciana saw not only the strokes of color and life, but also the reflection of the woman she was becoming, strong, independent and, above all, free from the chains of the past. In the days following the revelation of Luciana's past, she decided not to hide. Instead, he faced everything with courage and dignity. Luciana shared her story with the public, revealing her insecurities, her struggles and, above all, the strength she had to overcome each obstacle. In doing so, he transformed what could have been a scandal into a story of overcoming and inspiration. Penelope, who had tried to take her down for so long, was speechless in the face of Luciana's strength. The truth is that we all carry scars and stories that shape who we are. Luciana, with her art and courage, showed the world that the past can be transformed into something beautiful and meaningful. In the end, it was not just Luciana who emerged victorious from that competition, but also all the people who were touched by her story. Over time, his art began to be recognized not only for its technical quality, but for the emotional depth it conveyed. Luciana had finally found her voice, and the world was ready to hear her. As the paint dried on her latest work, she smiled. For the first time, she felt complete. The future was still uncertain, but I knew that, regardless of what came next, I was ready to face everything head-on. After all, she wasn't just a daughter or an artist, she was a woman who had found herself and was willing to shine. If this story touched your heart or made you reflect, be sure to support our work. Leave your like, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss our next inspiring and moving stories. Share this video with friends and family and help spread this powerful message about overcoming, courage and empathy.